Yo, what's good, YouTube? Today we got 5 scary videos you won't believe are real. Let's check it out.
Events that take place in these scary videos are so baffling, you won't believe they really happened. Number 5. When traveling on ice, it is often best to avoid it altogether. Thin ice is a major hazard in areas prone to
Facts.
cold
Why
weather.
the fuck
When
is
spring
walking
comes
ice?
along, the weather can be
Bro,
unpredictable,
what a
changing from
dumbass.
very warm to very cold within days. This also leads to ice melt, making waterways such as rivers, lakes, streams, etc. unstable and unsafe. Just this past March, a group of young men in Ukraine were unfortunate enough to learn the consequences of risking walking onto a frozen river. 4 fell through at a point where the ice was too thin to hold their weight,
What a
which happened to
dumbass.
be near the middle point of the river. Luckily
Fucking
for
dumbasses,
them,
bro.
onlookers rushed into action and got the attention of some local police. The officers sprang into action and slowly slid across the ice to where the men fell through. The reason they crawled in such a manner is because their body weight becomes evenly distributed across the ice, and thus it is able to better support them without breaking. The officers and other
Oh,
good
really?
Samaritans knew they needed to act
I didn't know that
quickly,
shit.
as hypothermia can occur in a person submerged in frozen water in a matter of minutes and even seconds.
Damn, are they
Using
okay?
ropes, a ladder, and sheer body strength, the officers managed to quickly save all 4 from the river and get them to safety. Because of how quick they sprang into action, most of the rescuers did not have gloves or mittens on, instead crawling out with their bare hands. While it was no doubt relatively warm out, it's easy to imagine how frigid their hands were by the time they reached the stranded men.
Bro,
On top of that, despite their hands grasping
Damn.
at ice and now wet from the melt, they still managed to gather the strength needed to hoist these men out of the water and back to shore. One of the officers' body cameras captured the entire incident, and you can hear just how calm they remained throughout. Even those they saved appeared calm despite the scary situation they landed themselves in.
Bro.
This probably
Thank God they're
further
okay,
aided in
bro.
their survival, as by staying calm and still, they
don't
used less
organize, bro.
energy and kept their
If you're watching
strength
this, don't
focused on
organize.
keeping themselves above water and from floating away while not involving ghosts or other paranormal entities. This video is a reminder of how quickly things can change. In an instant, your day can turn into a struggle for survival or a dash to save a life. Number 4. You may remember me talking about D-Menace in a previous video, but I wanted to give this video a further analysis. To describe D-Menace in short terms, the best would probably be Adrenaline Junkie. First appearing on YouTube in 2018, he has posted a variety of videos from conducting one-breath dives to venturing deep into tight caves. His videos are not for the faint of heart and can distress people with the feats he conducts. He has also posted several urban exploration videos. In June 2020, D ventured into an abandoned malt factory complex with several buildings to explore. All alone, he traveled through the dark and derelict halls. For the first half of the video, nothing particularly strange happens. D ventures through the various passages and even into the basement, finding strange and even beautiful graffiti on the walls. As he approaches the stairs to the basement, he feels apprehension as, in his words, the walls and ceiling begin to resemble the altered state of Silent Hill when it transitions to Otherworld.
I think I reached a really dangerous and scary part here because it's starting to feel and look
fucking leave, bro.
exactly like in Silent Hill.
Fucking leave. Oh, we got a knife. Come on, bro.
After some time, he decides to continue down the depths. Here, he finds a red bed or chair, something that gives him the creeps. Written on it in German is, "Raise your legs and chill."
Is that beer?
He continues to explore the basement, but is in a constant state of discomfort from the darkness and his mind playing tricks on him. Therefore, he decides to head back upstairs.
Yes.
He then states
Smart
part of
person,
what
smart
creeps him
person.
out about this place is the lack of wildlife residing in the building. Unlike other places he's explored, he hasn't seen a single bird or rodent since arriving. As he makes his way into the second part
What's
of the
this supposed to mean?
complex, he begins to feel more anxious, hearing noises around him. He admits he is unaware if it is because he is simply spooked or if there's another person inside with him. Not long after
Fuck
making
that
this
shit, bro. I thought you were
statement, he
leaving.
discovers he is, in fact, not alone in the complex. As he is showing the view out the
Bro, I thought you
window,
were
a man
leaving.
suddenly and casually walks out from the trees. Completely oblivious, D sees and is recording him. The man walks calmly to the same
Bro,
building D
who the
is
fuck
in,
is that?
but D is clearly nervous
Bro,
and
who the
says he
fuck is
hopes
that?
the man does not have ill intent. He then hears the man speaking, but it is unknown to whom.
Bro, that's a crackhead.
After, D becomes quiet, listening and acting increasingly anxious. Soon he enters a
Leave,
similar
bro.
room to where he first saw the man walking up and is startled to see a pair of legs on the other side of a hole
What?
in the wall. He quickly quiets down and kneels, but realizes the man must have heard him as the legs retreat in the opposite direction. Realizing the risk of the
Bro, he's gonna
situation,
fucking
he
die.
decides to try and exit the building. However, as he approaches a corner, the man emerges and pushes D to the ground.
Oh shit. Run, motherfucker.
After some exchanged words, the two men calm
Bro.
down and discover it was a simple misunderstanding. The other individual, named Jonathan, is just another urban explorer who is also unsure of D's intentions. Luckily this time, for both men, neither were there for anything bad and were just
Fuck
wanting
that
to
shit,
check the
bruh.
place out. D's video is a wake-up call for anyone intending to do their own exploration or even ghost hunts. Abandoned
You don't do
buildings
ghost
pose
hunts,
all
bro.
sorts
That-
of hazards,
Fuck that.
mostly from the decaying condition of the structures posing physical hazards. What is often overlooked is the possibilities of others in the building who could potentially be living there or committing unsavory deeds away from prying eyes. Both Dee and Jonathan were justified in their suspicion of each other, and on this occasion were able to laugh it off and even continue to explore the building together. It is likely this made the adventure safe, as the two would now be able to look out for one another in case an accident occurred. It goes as a reminder to how the paranormal is not the only thing to be afraid of on these tours. Dee was definitely thanking his lucky stars he stumbled across Jonathan, as both explorers decided to head into the basement, as Dee
Bro,
felt
I
it was
thought you were
better to
leaving,
have
bro.
company. Down
What
there,
the
they find
fuck?
spray cans, a piece of a bicycle body, and a package. However, down a deep corridor, Dee finds a bone. While it could be misinterpreted for human, Jonathan points out it doesn't appear to be. On analysis, it more so resembles one someone would give their dog to chew on.
Facts.
Regardless, Dee decides to leave the bone there. Certainly an adrenaline-inducing adventure this time, and thankfully Dee made a new friend to explore with. Still goes to show how careful one must be about the place they explore, as well as who might be in it. Number 3. Exploration Unknown is a Knoxville-based urban exploration channel run by a man named John Turner. First appearing on YouTube in 2016, he dedicates his time to venturing into creepy abandoned locations, from derelict home to former orphanages and asylums. His choice of location will often have a gruesome true story behind them, including the takings of life and other horrible events. Back in November 2017, John, along with friends James and Tim, returned to the abandoned Glendale orphanage they previously explored. This time, their goal was to conduct the infamous 3 a.m. challenge.
Bro.
In short, 3 a.m. is considered the witching hour, the perfect time for hunting ghosts. Almost right off the bat at the video start, John and the
dumbass.
others have split up when a wooden board is seen falling on its own from behind
Wait,
a
it's
doorway.
split up? Bro. Bro, what the fuck?
John goes to investigate, and much to his
Nah,
shock and slight
leave.
amusement, It turns out it was just James playing a joke on them. This appears to be in James's nature, as he does so again when he slams a metal door shut, scaring John so badly he accidentally stops recording. Jokes aside, Tim soon begins to feel lightheaded after the trio go to the second floor and therefore decides to head outside for some air. Meanwhile, James and John continue to investigate the second floor, finding the normal things you would expect in an abandoned building: graffiti, specks of dust, etc. When they descend the stairs back to the first floor, they are shocked to find Tim collapsed on the floor, out cold.
Down in the basement. I hope I got reception down there.
Tim?
Nah, that's like again,
Dude,
bro.
you okay? Tim, dude. Tim.
Bro, what are you doing?
You okay, man?
Thankfully, they were able to wake him, although he is clearly dazed and groggy. The reaction from John and James are of genuine concern and confusion, and Tim appears to be really out of it with a pale complexion. Deciding Tim's safety is more important, James and John help their fallen friend back outside and back to the car. Clearly shaken by the incident, John and James decide not to venture into the basement, and instead, footage of their previous visit is shown. It is unknown what exactly happened, and no other paranormal activity can be seen in the footage, so it is undetermined if Tim was the victim of some sort of attachment. He does show the common signs of paranormal attachment, which often manifest as feeling lightheaded and nauseated, and can even lead to passing out. What could also be possible is Tim came under the effects of harmful dust in the building. Considering the age and state of the orphanage, it is possible Tim became overwhelmed by particles such as asbestos, a once common insulation that can cause damage to the lungs if breathed in. The fact that John and James were unaffected does cast some doubt on this theory, although it is still completely possible. Regardless, finding your friend unconscious on the floor of such an eerie location is certain to scare anyone. Thankfully, Tim was okay and apparently started feeling a bit better after resting by the car. With that said, the three decided to call it a night and left the location. John clarified in the video description and comments Tim was okay and recovered, as well as thanking those who expressed concern for his condition. On February 21st, 2021, John uploaded a director's cut of the original video, acting as a sort of commentary. John discusses his personal experience that night. He stated he felt concerned about Tim when he said he wasn't feeling good, and expressed regret for not going with Tim to make sure he was alright. He also said he has received messages from people who had lived there during its operation, saying they actually had good experiences while residing there. They considered it a home with the staff taking good care of them. Comparing it to places such as Leckworth Village, it is a relief to hear good experiences about an orphanage, as they can be notorious for negativity, to put it mildly. When discussing the moment he and James found Tim, he said it looked as if he broke his leg. It is at this point John himself discusses a possible third explanation for Tim's condition. According to John, Tim had been up almost 30 hours at this point and had actually worked a full shift of work prior to joining the other.
This is it. This is the mecca of paranormal investigating. You've probably...
However, he also expresses Tim is sensitive to locations, including a time he collapsed at Skinwalker Ranch. This gives further support something had attached to him, but considering the positive remarks from former residents, it's hard to say what attached. It's good to know Tim turned out okay in the end, as these investigations can cause serious consequences. Number 2. If you're looking for a haunted location, your best bet is to choose somewhere with a scary history. Steve Ronan, an American urban explorer, traveled to the United Kingdom to investigate a Victorian-style mansion believed to be the site of a gruesome taking of life. Despite its longevity, the event took place in 2006 when then homeowner Christopher Lumsden ended his wife's life in a jealous rage. She had allegedly just returned from dinner with her lover when the incident occurred. Despite the viciousness of the event, Lumsden only served 5.5 years when he was released on license, the British legal system's equivalent of parole. Intrigued by the story, Ronan decided to investigate at the home in order to see if he could come up with answers. Upon arrival, the front of the house is littered with large trash, including several beds, some broken walls, and what appears to be clothing. At the time the video was filmed, renovations were ongoing to prepare the house to be put up for sale. It is unknown if the trash was from the house itself or was left there randomly, but it would be strange if so many pieces of clothing were left behind. The first bit of the video is Ronan and his team exploring the house, finding it in a state of disrepair. At one point, they find a strange piece of wallpaper on the floor. The same system is seen covering the walls of a room. Written on it are various strange phases, including Carpe Diem, Dungeons Fire, Jungle, Truth or Dare Power. What this means is a mystery, and it's a strange design to have as a wallpaper. Things quickly take a turn for the creepy when they find a red stain on the floor of one of the rooms in front of a dresser. On closer inspection, it is a sizable red blot stained into the floorboard that was once beneath the now torn up carpet. It definitely is believable that it's what we're all thinking, since the coloration does resemble when such a stain has aged over time. One of the crew decides to shine a UV light on the spot. As he explains, the spot remains visible as a dark purple under the light, instead of blending into the floor. Also, while it is not mentioned, there are spots that weren't visible when the light wasn't on. Going off the find, they decide to begin a spirit box session in the room. The method they use is simple, as they find a radio and rapidly shift through the channels. After a couple of questions and one false alarm, a voice comes through the static saying, "You were tricked."
You were tricked.
Bro, what?
You were tricked.
This is strange, as immediately before that, they were discussing whether or not they were deceived into believing another house entirely was the location of the gruesome life-taking.
There are SUVs, and then there's Jeep, the brand that invented the SUV.
At the beginning of the video, they spoke with a security guard of another residence who claimed the occupied house was the actual location of the incident. However, they were not allowed in and went to this house nearby. That is also said to be where the incident happened. Could it be possible they are communicating with something who knows they were tricked? The group hears various answers come through the radio, although admittedly it is hard to hear whether it is actually something answering them or simply words from the radio programs coming through and sounding like answers. Next, the group decides to conduct an EVP session to see if they can hear anything else. During the session, the group hears noises and something like shuffling is picked up on the EVP.
Bro, it's funny. Bro, what the fuck?
At this time, nobody in the room is moving or talking. They also hear something that sounds like chewing or moving their mouth. After asking a question, some sort of faint whisper can be heard right before the next question is asked.
If so, who was the one who murdered you?
Unfortunately, it's too difficult to decipher what, if anything, is being said, as it is too quiet. After nothing else seems to come through, finally the group uses an actual spirit box, which automatically and rapidly changes stations so quickly you can't hear what is being said by the program. Ronan asks if anyone can tell what happened and if there was an event of a life being taken. Soon after, a voice comes through with what sounds like yes, immediately followed by what sounds like someone died.
Bro, what?
Soon, a male voice comes through with what Ronan thinks sounds like "wasn't me."
I have so much activity now.
The
Bro,
moment
what
that
the
is
fuck?
guaranteed to send chills down your spine is when a woman, either laughing, crying, or possibly screaming, can be heard. The investigation wraps soon
Bro.
after, and Ronan leaves with what could be considered valuable
Fuck that
evidence.
shit.
The event that occurred in the home has left an imprint, and not just the stain on the floor. I've got a challenge for you. Since you've made
Bro,
it
what
this
the
far, why
fuck?
not like this video and hit subscribe in the next 5 seconds? Because I
Bro.
upload 4 new scary videos every week. If you're curious about what I look like in real life, then go to my Instagram at DylanIsChillinYT and tap that follow button to find out. Number 1.
Alright guys, if you've been injured in a car accident, you have to check this out. So I just got this check from my attorney.
Paranormal investigations
Let's
can
get
be a
it.
scary experience in a group, so imagine conducting one all by yourself. The Spectral Researchers of Central Florida is a group dedicated to investigating alleged paranormal activity from across the state. Aside from doing the normal group investigations,
fuck?
members have also gone to locations
What is
alone
that?
to explore and potentially collect
Motherfucker
evidence.
dancing.
This is a method often done by paranormal researchers and is therefore more susceptible to encounters. On February 21st, 2021, member Robert ventured to the Hall House, a former assisted living facility. With the help of a Kinect, he ventures through the building hoping the infrared dots on the device will help pick up any unseen entities. 3 minutes into the investigation, Robert captures a thump coming from behind him.
I just heard some big rock thump.
While it could easily be the sound of Robert walking, he has been walking around frequently throughout the video, and not once do his footsteps make a sound resembling such a noise. In fact, they are practically silent. Later, while in another room, Robert accidentally walks into something protruding from the wall. This is understandable as it was pitch black in the house, but what is strange is if you listen closely, you can hear someone whisper what sounds like toe.
Oh.
The voice sounds too high to be Robert's, and it doesn't appear to be
Oh.
his breathing, as
I
the
was
voice
with-
can be
oh.
heard happening at the same time Robert is exhaling. Just before the 6-minute mark, he enters a room and asks whose room it was. Well, it is rather faint, an answer comes sounding along the lines of mine.
Again, are you a former resident?
Could whoever used to reside there be confirming it was they who lived there? One possible creepy moment happens when Robert is standing in another room, looking out into the hallway. Several green lights are projecting from a device on the floor to both help Robert see the walls in the dark and potentially capture any entities which might block out some of the beams. As he looks into the hall, it looks as if there is a figure standing at the opposite end.
Oh,
The figure appears
shit.
to be wearing some sort of gown, which would make sense as this might have been the garments
Bro.
worn by a former resident. Robert doesn't appear to see the figure, possibly because of how dark the room was, and the apparition may have been more visible in the camera's night vision. It can be seen at several other instances when Robert looks down the hallway until it completely vanishes. Close to the halfway point of the investigation, Robert's camera appears to have a malfunction. Without explanation, the focus suddenly becomes fuzzy. Robert notices this and wonders if he accidentally zoomed in. However, us viewers can clearly see he did no such thing, and the vision blurred randomly as he panned over.
Bro, what
Ghosts
the
have been
fuck?
known to cause technical faults in electrical equipment, a phenomenon explained as entities drawing energy from the various devices investigators use. This can cause batteries to rapidly drain, lights to flicker, and even equipment to break. Luckily, the picture corrected itself after a minute. The picture returned to normal just as quickly as it had malfunctioned.
Bro, what
One
the
commenter
fuck?
points out they heard what they believe sounded like a woman saying, "I see nothing but the darkness as we move." Upon investigation, we could
What?
not hear what sounded like a woman speaking, but what it does sound like is the shuffling of feet and even a faint step. Robert is standing still at the time, so it is not him. Have a listen for yourself and see if you can hear the voice. The most compelling evidence comes when Robert can sense someone in the corner of the room.
Bro,
When he
what the fuck is
points to
that shit,
connect
bro?
there, the
That's a-
device
it
projects
looks
a
like
figure
he's dancing.
seated, facing towards him.
Oh, it's a figure? Why is it dancing?
Hello?
Bro, what
Would
the
you be
fuck?
able to tell me your name?
The figure even appears to brace itself against the wall to stand. When Robert asks for a name, the figure appears to either wave or gesture to something. It is difficult
Nah,
to
it's dancing,
determine
bruh.
which. Robert's investigation of the building definitely paid off with this discovery, and we are hoping the team returns to the location in the future. While not full of activity, there was certainly enough to determine something has remained long after the doors were closed for good. Scary videos have been on the
This is the end of the video. I'm scared as shit. Like the video. Comment down below what I should react to next. And I'll see you all next time. I'm out. Peace.